Hi, today I'm looking at keys and chords. I'm just going to go through with you the basic theory behind what chords go in what key. Okay, so this all starts with a major scale. Now the major scale is the one that you'll recognise if you don't know anything about scales and you hear someone playing this, you'll recognise it as a scale probably. It sounds like this. And can be played in every different key, so you can play it anywhere on a guitar neck. There's different patterns for it. Just everywhere on the guitar you can find major scales. Same on the piano, any other instrument, it's just full of major scales. It's the do, re, mi thing that you're probably familiar with. That's a major scale. Now a major scale is a set of notes, it's 7 notes. When you've played the 7th one, you tend to then play the first one again an octave above where you started. So if you've got a note here, like maybe a C, you go through all the other notes of the scale and on the top you put another C, which is a higher version of the one you started on. That's an octave above. So there are 7 individual notes in each major scale. And the easiest way to think of this is that each note has a chord built on it. So the first note has a chord kind of stacked on top of it. So a chord that's kind of built on the foundation of that one note. And then the next note of the scale has another chord built on that. And each note, each of the 7 notes has a chord built on it. And that's where the chords from the key come from. That's how you can determine which ones they are for any given key. So I'm going to take an example key of A major. Now A major just happens to be these notes I'm going to say now. It just happens to be these because a scale has to be a group of intervals, you know, like a note and then another note a certain distance above, then another note a certain distance above that. Don't want to get too into all of that for now, but just take my word for it. These are the notes that happen to be the ones in the key of A major or in an A major scale. So I've got A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and we're back at A again. So there were 7 notes, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. I've numbered them 1 to 7. Now you might be thinking, well, why is the C C sharp? Why isn't it just C? Or why is the F F sharp rather than F? Why is the B just a B? Why isn't it a sharp or a flat? And it's because when you start on an A, your second note has to be a certain distance above, like I mentioned a minute ago, or on any note. So whatever note you're starting on, the next note, for example, the second note has to be 2 frets on a guitar higher than the first note. Well, if I start on an A, go up 2 frets, I have to do that because otherwise it won't be a major scale. That note is a B. But if I was in the key of B and I started on a B, the second note would be 2 frets up. That happens to be a C sharp. So in that key, the second note would be a C sharp. But in the key of A, the second note is a B. And you just continue like that. And so like the third note has to be there on the guitar fretboard. That's where you can find it. Doesn't matter what scale I do, the third note's always found there. Well, in this key, in the key of A, that happens to be a C sharp, not a C, because C is there. That's not where the note of the scale is. It's that, and it happens to be C sharp. So we end up with those 7 notes. And the chord that's built on each of the 7 notes, you always, in a major key, you always have the first chord as a major. So in this key, the first note was A, therefore the first chord in the key is A major. And on the second note, which in this key was B, the second note's always a minor. Just is. It's just always a minor. So the second note is a B, the second chord is a B minor chord. Doesn't matter where you play it. Any B minor is going to be the chord that comes next in this sequence in the key of A. So chord number 2 is B minor in this example. And you just apply certain majors or minors to each of the chords. It has to be in a particular order. And chord number 7 is a bit of a strange one because on number 7 in every key, every major key, number 7 is called a diminished chord. Now you might not have used diminished chords. They're very, very scarce compared to majors and minors. You do get them in songs, but not very often at all. There's a good chance if you're watching this that you've played lots of major and minor chords and possibly never played a diminished chord. Or you might have used them a lot, I don't know. But what I'd suggest for the moment is just forget the diminished chord. So we'll leave that one, we'll just concentrate on the others for the moment. So that's number 7. So number 2 we said was minor, number 1 was major. Number 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor. So if I apply that to my notes, I've got here A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. Apply the major minor thing to that. We end up with A, doesn't say anything, which means it must be major. If it doesn't specify, then it's major. So A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished. That's the one we're going to kind of forget about. So this order of major and minor is the same in every key, every major key. For minor keys, we can look at that on a separate lesson, but it's very useful if you can learn the major keys first. Minor's quite easy once you understand this. So if I just take another quick example, if I write the notes of another key underneath, just a random key, let's take the key of G major. So I'm going to put the names of the notes that are in G major. Is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Those are the notes in the key of G major. That's if I played a G major scale, those would be the notes I'd be playing. And if I apply the major minor thing to these, 1 has to be major, 2 has to be minor, 3 has to be minor, and so on. So I end up with these chords: G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished. So I'm matching up the major minor minor thing to what I did for the key of A. And you can do this for any key. And if you don't know what the chords are, sorry, if you don't know what the notes are in a particular key, or particular scale, you've just got to learn a major scale pattern like this. Move it to the relevant place on the neck. This is where it's quite easy for us guitarists because we can just repeat the pattern somewhere else without having to change it. So let's say you wanted to check what I just said about the key of G major. You just go to G, which is here, play the pattern, and then hopefully you're able to name those notes. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. I'll do another key just quickly. Let's take the key of C major. So C is here, 8th fret on the guitar. Same pattern. That's C, that's D, that's E, that's F, that's G, that's A, that's B, and we're back at C again. So that's an easy one because there aren't any sharps or flats to think about. So it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Apply the major minor thing, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. And those are the 7 chords in the key of C. So why is this useful? If I want to write a song in the key of C, those are the chords I can use and I know I'm staying in the key. Doesn't matter what order they're in. All going to be in key because I'm just using chords from that group that I just mentioned. If I was writing a song in the key of A, then I've got to use ones from the list. So, write a song in the key of A. Very easy to do, and this is also really useful for working out other people's songs. So if there's a song you want to learn, if you can establish what key it's in, you know already what chords are very likely to be in a song. You can't guarantee those are the chords they're going to use in the song, because sometimes people do take chords that are from different keys and put them in the song anyway. So they're using chords from outside of the key the song's in. That does happen sometimes, but not that often. Normally you can rely on this theory as helping you establish what chords are going to be in the song, or what chords the songwriter has potentially been using. Doesn't mean they're going to use all of the 7 chords, but they might be using 2 or 3 or 4 from that list. It's a bit of a confusing subject, so I fully expect there might be some questions. If there are any, please put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, thanks.